Welcome to Urban Nav Crypto. Before we get started, I want to say this. Something one of the creators of XRP and the XRP ledger, David Schwartz, said when it comes to crypto and the burn rate. He said, the higher the coin, the lower the burn rate. The lower the coin, the higher the burn rate. Even though I am talking about SHX, this actually goes for all the coins, including XLM, XRP, XDC. The one question I'm asked every time someone watches my video and a 10K price is mentioned is, where did you get 10K from? I will be honest. At times, I'm very puzzled because where I got the price from is from the same place you could get it from if you're paying attention to the stuff that people involved in the financial system is talking about. But for many, that price seems too far, and it's not, honestly. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. Hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and stick with me in this video. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but it may be long. So why is 10K possible? Well, it is actually a number that makes the most sense when you're talking about moving $1 trillion worth of value on any blockchain. That's for payments. The next question you may be asking is why? Well, if you're understanding how these cryptos move money, you will understand why a high price like 10K is needed as a starting floor. Let me give you something to think about really quickly. First off, these coins were not created for all of them to be used all at one time to move the money that they will be moving, because that will be absolutely dumb. And if that was the case, you will not be able to even buy, hold, or trade them. Let me repeat that. These coins were not created for all of them to be used all at the same time to move the money they will be moving, because that will be absolutely dumb. And if that was the case, you will not be able to even buy, hold, or even trade them. Now let that sink in for a second. It would not need to be regulatory clarity for something that the public will not be able to use, hold, or trade. Do you know how much shit the government is doing behind the scenes that is not law words on some fucking pages that we, the people, don't know about? And because we don't know about it or take part in it, there is no law written for it. Think about it, people. Think, please think. This leads us here, able to hold, use, or trade this stuff. The government says, okay, we need laws. People of the country can make money. We need to be able to control this stuff a certain way. Now, let's look at why SHX should be 10K for every $1 trillion it has to move. The formula that I have come up with that makes sense has nothing to do with the charts. The charts are total bullshit. The value of each coin needs to be times by the amount of value it has to move in 1 year times the amount of years it has to move that value per year. So basically, the formula is you're going to take the coin value price times that by the money value moved per year times the amount of years. And that's how you would get the price of what each coin needs to be to move the value that it needs to move. I hope you're still with me. And please remember, charts and market caps don't matter. You have to think outside the box with this stuff. Now, people will do the math like this. If SHX has to move $8 trillion, they would take the total coin supply and divide it by the 8 trillion. which honestly, yes, that makes sense, but that's really first grade math when you're talking about finances, right? And sometimes with finances, first grade math just doesn't cut it. You have to do more of something like, I want to say maybe economic math. So as I was saying, the first grade math is really not going to work. That shit is not going to work for some technology that is based on math. If you believe that, please keep on watching because you're absolutely wrong in thinking that, right? It goes much deeper than that. There is a ton of things to think about. One of those things is the burn rate, which may be the most important thing to think about when it comes to calculating this cryptocurrency or these digital assets. When you divide 8 trillion by 100 billion coins, so you're taking $8 trillion and you're dividing that by 100 billion coins, you get $80 per coin. But that's a price based on moving that value for 1 year. What happens to the other years? And yes, the coins are deflationary digital assets, but starting the price of the coin so low would result in having a really high burn rate that first year just to move that $8 trillion of value. And you would need to use all of the coins. I mean, again, that doesn't even make any sense because they cannot create any more of these coins. So why would they be using all of them? It doesn't really make any sense. Common sense thinking tells me, one, how can we even hold these coins if they need all? And two, who is going to hold them? How much would each financial institution hold to do business if they can't even hold the coin? And if they can't hold the coins, that would make it a more centralized system, in my opinion. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Because if no one could hold the coins, but the one company that created it, we need to go to them every time we need to move money to ask them to move money? I don't think anyone wants to do that. And what if I need to use a quarter of the supply, the coin supply? What if I need to use a quarter of it? Because I have to move $2 trillion of value, and that's just my financial institution. What happens to everyone else that needs to use it? Again, think, people. Fucking think about it. It has to make sense. How I would do it is, okay, each coin will be $80 because you took $8 trillion and you divided it by 100 billion coins. I would say for every $1 trillion moved, it needs to be $80 per coin. And we have $8 trillion to move. So what we will do is we will take $80 and times that by 8. And the answer we get is a price of $640 per coin. Because again, it has to be $80 per coin to move $1 trillion. And we are moving $8 trillion. So we multiplied $80 by 8 because it represents 8 trillion, right? And that's how we got a price of $640. But it doesn't stop there because that's just for 1 year. It has to do this for multiple years. So a good starting point is, I would say, in terms of years, I would say a good starting point is 10 years, right? Which is a very nice fair number. Now, you will take that $640 and you will times that by 10. And the answer you will get is $6,400 per coin in order to move $8 trillion a year for 10 years. This number, $6,400 per coin, is much better than the $80 per coin when thinking about burn rate. You will burn much less coins. However, how much of the supply would you be using, which is the other important piece to thinking about the prices of these coins, right? Now, let's take the $8 trillion and divide that by the $6,400. And we get 1,250,000,000 coins needing to be used every year for 10 years. Now, take that number, 1,250,000,000, and times that by 10 for the amount of years you're moving the $8 trillion worth of value. You will get 12,500,000,000. Now, that's the amount of coins that you're going to have to use to move the stuff with a price of $6,400 per SHX. That's better than using oil. But there is a better solution. Now, looking at this, does it look good? Because out of the supply of coins used, how much of them got burned and didn't go back into the actual coin supply? Because as the coins are used, some of it is burned. And the ones that are burned don't come back. But the rest of it goes back into the coin supply, right? So the 12, in 10 years to use 12,500,000,000 coins, it's not bad. It's better than using the whole 100 billion. However, how much of that coin supply that was needed to move the coins were actually burned? I'm not too sure about the burn rate. Remember, the higher the coin, the lower the burn. The lower the coin, the higher the burn. So we have to just keep that in mind. I don't know, maybe 25% of it, because even though that price seems high, it is not high enough to keep the burn rate down low enough, not to burn out a whole bunch of coins. I really hope you're still with me. So yes, a $6,400 price point seems like a great number. And that's due to the fact that you base the price on the coins of taking $8 trillion and dividing it by 100 billion coins, which is the total supply, then doing the math formula that I came up with. But that still is not enough. They don't want to use all the coins every year. They probably want to use something like 0.1% of the supply to move that $8 trillion of value, which is why a 10K price point gets you close to that 0.1% of the supply being used. Because if my starting floor is 10K per $100 trillion moved, I can scale it up higher for every $1 trillion being moved to satisfy that want of using just about 0.1% of the supply. So what is 0.1% of 100 billion? It is 100 million. Now, that 100 million is the total amount of coins needed to be used every year by every financial institution collectively to move $8 trillion across the SHX blockchain. So if 100 companies hold 25% of the supply, that would be 25 billion coins being held by them in total. And dividing 25 billion by 100, each company will hold 250 million SHX coins, which would be valued. Each company, it will be valued at $20 trillion for each institution, because each SHX is valued at $80,000 per coin. Now, don't shake your head and say, no, not true. Because it is. It may not seem true, but this is very close to how this shit is going to work, believe it or not. Where did the $80,000 per coin come from? Well, each SHX has to start at 10K per coin for every $1 trillion needing to be moved, and we are moving $8 trillion per year. So, I mean, we all know basic multiplication, right? If you take 10,000 and you times that by 8, you get a price of $80,000 or a number of 80,000, right? Please keep in mind, these companies already mapped out how much of the supply would be given to financial institutions. I don't know if it is 25%, but again, thinking like a business person, setting aside 25% of the supply for financial institutions seems likely, which is another reason why we are able to use, hold, and trade these assets. Are you still with me? I hope so. Let's take 100 million SHX coins and times that by $80,000 per SHX. We get a number of $8 trillion, which is the amount of money value needing to be moved per year. What are we doing? Keeping the coin supply under control, keeping the burn rate very low, and leaving room to scale up these deflationary assets as we need to. And keep in mind that these things are meant to last for hundreds of years. It is that simple? Of course not. All of the numbers are not exact. However, the concept of the math formula is what is needed for these digital assets to be very high in price and to move the new financial system. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm out of here.